Man of the year, man of the year, man of the year. Welcome to the number one friendship podcast in the country. I'm Matt Ritter.
I'm Aaron Karo.
Guys, go to manoftheyearpodcast.com. Check out our merch. Buy some of our baby onesies. I want to see some little kids rocking them in Hancock Park and West Hollywood and LA and Seattle, New York, and wherever our fans are, Austin, Nashville, Chicago, everywhere. Everywhere a baby can be found. I want them in those man of the year onesies. So Karo, this week, it's summertime, and I was just thinking about how it's really fun summer camp friendship. Like when you form bonds in the summertime, like there's something amazing. Like I was just thinking about how all of those like bonds are easily built and they last a long time. So I was thinking about my thesis for this episode is how we could treat our friendships like we did at summer camp.
Of course, that would involve us actually going to summer camp.
Plainview, you hate this. When I say Plainview, we were a little poor. We didn't have a lot of us going to, Camp Tawanda or whatever. We went to the Y camp mostly, but then most of our parents got a little scratch together late in the game and sent a couple of us to how many summers did you go to Sleepaway?
2 summers, I believe.
Right. And that was the most. I did one.
But by the way, it was a 1-month camp, half summer.
Right, half. We did half.
I forgot. Were you there?
No, I did. I'll tell you my summer camp really quickly. I went to what the hell's the name? It was across the lake from Laconda, Brookwood.
Okay.
And the guy who sold it on us, his son was Jay Fiedler, the first and only Jewish quarterback in the NFL at the time.
Okay. Yep.
And so we thought that was cool. He got us to go to the camp. It was pretty, run-of-the-mill stuff. But the one thing I remember about Sleepaway Camp was I made a best friend, this guy named Mike something or other. I don't want to disclose his full name. And it's the first time I really liked a girl. And this is how you started a relationship in 7th grade at camp. I told him that I wanted her to be my girlfriend, and he was the girlfriend liaison. That was his role. He was like guy who set you up. So I literally said, today's the day I want her to be my girlfriend. I walk ahead a few paces. He talks to her for 30 seconds. And then she comes up to me and we start holding hands and we're now boyfriend and girlfriend.
Honestly, if it was that easy, I wish it was still that easy.
Holy shit. I didn't have to say a word. Mikey, the setup man, did everything.
But I will just say that for our college summer camp experience, we also went with all of our friends from the town.
You did. I did.
Yes. No, I'm saying yes. So my bunk was like my half dozen friends that I went to middle school with, completely pointless.
Right. The whole point of summer camp was to go meet other friends, make new experiences.
I actually count that. We talked about this 70 episodes ago. I count that as one of my few childhood regrets. I wish that
we different one, or that we went to Sleepaway all the way through.
That we went to a full summer Sleepaway camp without. A couple of middle school friends is fine, but a real camp, because we missed out. We weren't very independent.
So you're saying you regret that our parents were poor?
Parents weren't poor. My parents email me every episode and go, "What's going on with Matt? All he says is he's poor and he has a kid, and they really don't like it." And I'm just like, what can I do? He controls me.
I kid. Listen, we grew up very middle class, and most people in our town couldn't really afford the full 8 weeks.
No, but I'm gonna push back on that, Matt. I don't think it was cost. It was probably.
Did we just not know about it? We were just not in the know.
No, I think we were. We were like kids who didn't really explore that much.
Right. Okay.
That just wasn't our vibe.
I think I'm going to send Brenner to East Coast Sleepaway Camp.
I think that's great. I think that's great. What I hear a lot from our friends whose kids are going to summer camp, which I can't imagine our parents saying, and Matt, tell me what you think about this. They're like, I don't want to send my kid to summer camp because I miss him or her too much.
Oh, that's sweet.
Our parents would never say that.
It's a different time.
I know. It is a different time. Yeah.
It's a totally different. Oh, this is another funny thing I just remembered from my Sleepaway Camp. So when I started dating that girl, I had not, hit puberty. I was 4, 7 or something. And she was like, I don't know, it seemed like she was 6'5" at the time. She was probably 5'5".
Yeah. Yeah.
And I grabbed her like around the, I reached up and like grabbed her around the neck. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to kiss you.
Oh God.
I had to lower her
Oh.
down the screen for the first
Isn't it
kiss.
crazy? Isn't it crazy? Like the age, like the size difference.
Oh my God. The women tower over us.
I always forget our friend Danielle is actually, I think, my oldest friend ever. She said she's literally the size she was in 4th grade. Like she hit 4th grade and then that's it.
Yeah. I think that's generally still true, right? Like women tend to hit puberty
Yeah.
earlier, just like
Yeah.
taller for 3 years. So I thought we could talk about why those bonds formed so easily and they were so strong, and sort of why maybe we could use those as a way to kind of treat our friendships in the summertime the way we did at summer camp. Like, what would be the benefits? So here's some benefits that I sort of came up with at summer camp that I think we could sort of apply in everyday life. Number one is that it's a little bit more playful summer camp, right? It's about kind of like, there's a certain spirit to summer camp, right? It's about like everything is embracing like your childish things, like color war, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying, hey, adults have to do color war, but I think generally going in summertime with an attitude of like, it's okay to be a little more playful than I normally am throughout the year. Number two is less distractions. I think this is a huge one, right? I think the number one reason that summer camp encourages healthy relationships is they disconnect, right? Do you remember you weren't allowed phone call? I mean, this was pre-cell phones, but you literally didn't talk to your parents for 2 months.
And nor did it even occur to us to talk to them.
No. I mean, like you'd get a letter once a summer, one postcard.
Right.
And if you ran out of cash for the canteen, you get a little re-up.
It was like prison.
It's like prison. It was like prison. Hey, we have a visitor for you. Visiting day, right? It is like prison.
Yeah.
Like visiting
Yeah.
day.
Do you think if I always wonder, like, this is very off topic. If you have a pretty, let's say me and you went to prison, I would assume that we'd have a pretty good canteen budget. Our friends, our family would fill it up. Does that make you a target?
Well, that's what I was thinking, right? Like to the kids who have a lot of canteen, but like I don't remember anybody having a big canteen budget.
Right.
But if you did, you had to be the man.
Yeah. I think
right. If you have like $100 for cigarettes, I mean, yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Or are you protected?
Yeah. I mean, I think the camps we went to were a lot more egalitarian. I can only imagine these ritzy camps. Like, I don't like that.
Is it also a good racket for the camp? Like, I'm wondering, you know how like when you go to a baseball game and beer's $12, like
right.
$19 so they can scam your parents out of more money?
Oh my God. I bet you don't get that money back at the end either.
Of course not. Oh, like if there's leftover in the canteen, like, oh, we'll roll it over to next summer.
Right.
It's a non-refundable calling card,
Yeah.
So the other things I was thinking, so it's the unplugging of it all, which is great. Being outdoors, I think in general puts people in a good mood doing activities. But there's also something about how the activities are memorable. Like there's like these tentpole things. I mentioned color war, but I think also like you do sort of like building things, or you go on like, a big hike, like a bigger hike than you normally would. I was thinking about how maybe if you hike, or even if you don't hike, maybe summer's the time to go on a bigger hike. What do you think about that?
I mean, hikes. Yeah. I mean, I'm pro hike.
It's memorable than like, oh, this is our day-to-day hike.
Right. Well, I think generally, just going back to your thesis of treating the summer like summer camp as an adult, the first couple of things you were saying, I think were struck me, which is that it's the vibe is you're sort of I'm trying to think of the word to describe it, like you're letting down your guard.
Yes.
Like you're kind of your preconceived notions and your, what's it called when you kind of let everything go? What am I thinking of when you kind of like let the restrictions and your your tension, and you kind of just like be free.
I don't know, but I like it. I like what you're saying. I don't know. I think, but I think what you're saying is key to friendship in general. Is when we're vulnerable, that's when the friendships actually deepen, right? When you're that chink of the armor comes off, and you can just kind of let your guard down a little bit. That's when the authentic conversations happen. That's when the authentic friendships happen. I think there's something to what you're saying of like, if we just kind of be a little more open and vulnerable in the summertime, you just let more things in.
You know,
On that same note, I think there's some sort of like trust. Like in summertime, I feel like you're like you, especially in summer camp, like you have this, you kind of with the same people, you kind of build this like loyal squad a little bit. You're almost like team building in the summertime. So maybe it's almost like time to build your summer squad.
did you do team building exercises when you were a corporate lawyer?
Oh my god.
Matt has just grabbed his temples for those listening.
But the problem with those is they don't feel authentic.
Right.
They
Well, they're
feel
not. They're by definition, they're not.
right. They're completely forced. You're like, oh, in these 2 days, we're gonna, build these bonds. And I don't actually think that's not how you should do it as a company.
You just made me think of something I have not thought of in, I don't know, 25 years. When we started Morgan Stanley, so right out of college, we had a team building thing in Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they like hired someone to like do it, and there was something where like, I don't know, I think maybe your hands were sort of like, tied in front of you, and like someone was directing you how to walk, something like that, where you're a little vulnerable. And then afterwards, we're all kind of recapping, and the HR woman, who was like the head of our class, they asked, "Oh, what did you like most?" And she goes, "Oh, I liked when I was tied up."
Oh my
God.
God.
But in the context, it was very much obviously that. But because I'm fucking me, I was like, wow, Karen. Like, I made a comment that was so inappropriate.
Into the file.
Right.
Straight into the file.
Yes. I mean, fast forward, she tried to fire me 13 months later. But I just remember like, oh, we're not in like college anymore. Like, I just made a off-color joke to my boss.
Right. I thought, but when I thought we were in the circle of trust, what happened? It's the trust circle. I thought,
oh God.
You're like, I too like being tied up, Karen.
Oh, and her name was Karen too. So embarrassing. So
what a Karen.
Yeah, she was proto Karen. The other thing, we talked about this in our friendship cuffing episode, which I really loved, was that in the summer, your body language is more open. You're not huddled up and shivering and wearing a giant coat. You're out and you're out and you're out and you're out and about and you're hugging, and you are kind of just presenting yourself in a more open way. And like, think about camp. When you think of, people in camp, everyone's body language is very open. I think that's important too.
Here's another one I got for you.
Okay.
Think about what a picnic is, right? Like, picnic is very casual, and it's very inviting, and it's very like group oriented. It's very not individualistic.
Mm-hmm.
And you only really do it in the summer, right?
Yes.
Like that attitude, right? So I think like, I'm not saying, hey, I'm saying, yes, you should have more picnics, but also like that picnic mentality. I find that, like there's, in the summertime, I find myself going to more like, I don't know, shared table restaurants too. You're like outdoors more. You're going to like, breweries that are outdoors that have that same vibe, where you're just like in a normal night, right? In the year, we all kind of have this attitude where we're talking about guard up, where we're not like wanting to go to dinner and automatically talk to whoever is at the table next to us, right? Whereas like, in the summer, when you go to these places, like the one that's on La Brea, right? The former tire shop.
Oh yeah, the all season brewery.
Right. Like when you go and you sit down there, it's not weird for somebody to just start talking to you while you're eating.
Yes, I mean that's an extreme example. That's an outdoor brewery that only has communal tables.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, what a restaurant patron when they sit down at a communal table and you're next to them, like, do they even know what they're getting into?
Well, if you go, you've signed up for it.
No, because sometimes, and Matt, sometimes you show up and they go, oh, there's no 4 tops, no 2 tops, but you can sit at the communal table and you kind of go, all right.
No, if you sign up for the communal table, you gotta open it up. You can't go. You can't go to. Here's what you can't do. You can't go to a community table and then just put your blinders on.
Matt, how much of your dining experience as a lefty, like how often does that come into play?
So much more than anyone else thinks. Thank you for even bringing that up. I'm sure we have, probably 10% of our listeners are left-handed because that's what it is in the population. In tight quarters, it's a logistical nightmare.
It's so basically for me, who's stupid, your left hand is hitting everybody else's right hand, basically.
I mean, you're on a plane in a middle seat at every dinner you go to.
Will you try to position yourself to try to?
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
When you go out to like a dinner, generally everybody wants those sides. The corners.
Oh no! Why? I like the middle. I prefer to.
Yeah, middle. But when you're like trapped, if it's like a booth or something, most people.
No. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but for me, actually, if it's a booth where they're facing each other, I only want to be outside if it's the side where my left arm is out, or I only want to be on the window. I can do window or aisle. I can't be middle.
Right.
Really can't do middle, guys. Lefties can't do middle.
Do you I bet you this doesn't bother you. A real pet peeve of mine is when you're at dinner and it's not communal, but some of these restaurants are pretty close and you can hear everything the people around you.
Well, that's New York City. That's like every restaurant in New York.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, all right. I guess I'll retract.
Cities are kind of like that.
Yeah, I guess in LA, I mean, when you really can hear their conversation, I have trouble focusing.
So you need space. You need a little.
I mean, also, I am a very singular. Like when you text me at night and I'm watching TV, I hit pause and then I go to my texts. I can't do 2 things. I can't concentrate on 2 things at once.
So you're literally like in the 0.00001 because literally 99.9999% of the population watches TV and texts now.
If I want to pay attention to the show, I have to pause it.
I mean, have you seen most of the exec notes now? They're like, actually, dumb it down. People are going to miss the too much plot. They're going to miss it. They're texting on their phones most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, the execs are texting while they're reading the script.
Yeah. Oh, this is what I was going to ask you because you're a very big calendar guy.
I am.
So my thesis about treating it a little bit more summer campy is there's a lot more spontaneity in summertime. And so I think a lot more last minute stuff pops up. So I think you should say yes to a lot more last minute stuff in the summertime.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what do you think about, you just brought up New York, Matt. There's some cities, I wouldn't count LA as, but I would count New York, that kind of empty out in the summer.
Very interesting. So what do I think you should do about that if you're in the city, or what is the question?
Well, question 1 is, have you noticed that? Are there certain cities, like LA doesn't really empty out, but New York kind of does. Is that accurate?
New York definitely empties out. People go to I think a lot of cold weather places, people generally have summer second homes or rentals, or they travel during summer with their kids a lot. I think that's generally true. So maybe the question is what to do about it if you are stuck in the city.
Yeah.
I think there is a sort of cool self-selection of like, it's easier to connect with other people. That's almost like a great opener. Like, hey, we're the ones.
Yeah.
Hey,
well, I mean, it's not like it's not like, The Last of Us, there's nobody left, but yeah.
It does sometimes feel like Zombieland in New York in August.
Yeah. I
Joy.
mean, it's also people, it's a little bit less crowded, it's people who are there are, there to have fun. Some
Yeah.
people visiting.
Yeah. You know what I love in summertime? Just bars near a dock.
Yes.
I don't know
Bars.
why.
Have you ever been to, I think it's called the Frying Pan in New York?
I'm not
It's
sure.
it's on a boat.
I've been to the one, what is it? The boathouse on 72nd.
Uh,
Anything nautical themed in summertime. You know what? Like I'm never going to nautical themed bars in October.
yeah. But I mean, we don't really do that in LA.
No, because there is no summer.
Right. It's now there is though, man. Like I
Yeah,
don't now there
the
is.
seasons are changing.
Yeah.
Should we take a listener question?
Yeah, let's do it. We'll be right back. All right, guys, this is Asking for a Friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, please send it to us on Instagram, Man of the Year Podcast, and we will answer it on the show. Matt, take it away.
Hey, Matt and Karo, I've got a amazing 4-person friend crew. We've been going on 15 years. I know it's not Man of the Year length, but pretty impressive. Every summer we go away, we do a camping trip, and it's become clear that one of our buddies can't get off his phone. And it's really ruining the trip for everybody, or maybe not just for everybody. It's really starting to piss me off. What should I do?
Love a camping trip. Are you a camper?
You know, I haven't done it in a couple of years, but now I definitely want to do it now that I have a son and I want him to
There
like
we go. Everybody drink.
hot shots. But I do own a Coleman Sunbeam tent
Why?
because we did in law school. We used to go camping a lot, and that's now, I don't know, a long time ago, but it's the last time I
Um,
went.
I don't think
Other
this
than,
ever
other than safari, we went glamping. I'll be honest.
I don't think this has come up on the pod, but I famously spent 2 weeks whitewater rafting the Grand Canyon in the
Oh,
2010 or
it came up.
2012.
If you recall, it came up because of the way you guys dispose of things. I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah, you have to carry your poop out with you.
I never
Uh,
knew that.
yeah, it's pretty fun. Now that actually does. I will answer the question in a second, but that trip kind of dovetailed to what you were saying, Matt, because that was 2 weeks. By the way, there was no cell service, so you were just you were forced to just
Man,
like
that's some 127-hour shit if things go sideways.
yeah. We had a satellite phone.
Oh, you
Um,
did? Sat phone?
yeah, but this was
Yeah, sat phone.
2010 or 2012, so it was almost like yeah, like it wasn't completely like it was. I think
Terrain.
it was pre Instagram. Like it was, we weren't as attached.
Yeah.
So I would say number one, go to a place that doesn't have service.
Mm. Mm.
Uh,
Pre-plan this to screw them over.
yes. Number two, you know, you could start with a little passive aggressive ribbing.
Okay.
Kind of like I just did when you brought up your son. Like, oh, we brought the phone. Anything happened in the past 5 seconds?
Yep. Yep.
Now,
Yep.
I'm gonna guess that you're gonna say that we should probably just talk to him because your friends aren't mind readers. He might not even think it's a problem.
I mean, I will say he probably knows it's a problem. I've noticed that most of my friends who are addicted to their phones kind of know it.
Mm,
Have you noticed that? Like they're aware of it, but they just won't change that behavior. That's what I've encountered. They're like, yeah, I'm on my phone all the time in front of my kid. I just whatever. Just is who
mm.
I am.
Yeah, I can't really, and maybe there's someone that I'm not thinking of. Think of a specific example of a person I could think of was a real phone addict.
Yeah. I know a few.
Because we kind of all are in a way, but um, what do you think that conversation is like?
I mean, I like what you're saying. I mean, I don't consider it passive aggressive to just openly make fun of the person.
Right.
You know, like I think if we just are like, hey, I have an idea. Why don't we not slide into randos DMs for the next 2 days?
Right.
Hey,
You
maybe
could
they don't have. Hey, they don't have Pornhub in Utah.
you could make it part of the trip, like, hey, we're going fishing now, we're leaving our phones.
I like that because a lot of people who are addicted to their phones kind of need that to be able to let go. They need to be able to be like, oh, okay, now I'm gonna let go for this 2 hours. I think it's probably a better way to like get them to commit to it.
Now, in classic Matt fashion, let's take the phone addict's position. You like the switch point of view. Maybe he's like, listen, I got kids, I got work. What if there's an
I
emergency?
agree with look, I agree with that. In 2024, if you have responsibilities and obligations, it's hard to just go, I'm not going to be on my phone whatsoever. But maybe there's a way of treating it like summer camp also, which was that you have a designated time to make your calls. I feel like when we take boys trips, everybody kind of goes, okay, let's all call our wives now. Let's do this. Let's call our kids. Let's FaceTime our kids. That's usually like before dinner. And I feel like you could kind of do the same thing. You'd be like, all right, boom, you want to make your calls, you want to check your email, do it now. Once we leave to go fishing or hiking or whatever, like we're supposed to be connected.
I mean, someone who's on their phone while you're fishing or hiking that's insane to me.
I mean, it really hurts them the most, because if the rest of you are not on your phone, you're committed to it and you're in a different place. But I do think it's annoying because when you've all committed to that, this person is kind of messing with the overall like vibe of what this is supposed to be.
Another idea I had is there are actually apps, excuse me, that will lock your phone.
Ooh.
Actually, a buddy of mine started one. It's called Brick,
Yeah.
and it's it's like a digital habits app. And you could say, lock me out for 4 hours. I mean, I imagine there's some way to get around it because otherwise, what if there was an emergency? But maybe you give your
Gamble
code to
on
your
it.
buddy.
How about gambling on it? I bet you can't stay off
Yeah,
your for 6 hours. There's something in it for them.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting, Matt, because if you're having that kind of conversation with the buddy, the phone conversation has already come up.
It's
So it
obviously
feels
excessive. It's obviously an excessive problem.
right. I mean, it feels crazy to come up with all these machinations to have them get off your phone. I think you just all do it together.
I have an idea that's kind of dick, but four
Steal
guys
the
who,
phone.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
four guys.
but
If you've known for 15 years, we're gonna give you one warning. We're gonna do this the easy way or the hard way.
you could be a little bit even more devious and steal the charger.
Ooh, Karo, you are good.
Yeah,
How long does
yeah.
a phone last uncharged if it starts
You
at
know,
99?
a day.
Yeah, he'll go into low power mode though, and then it's
Low
another
power
day.
mode that I taught you like 3 months ago.
I just learned about low power mode.
Oh, Lord. I forgot to tell you this. We have a buddy who challenges you for the light-eyed king.
Okay.
Our buddy Pat, who's on the East Coast. We're doing Zooms. Whenever he gets an email, it goes ding. Like even you don't have that, right?
No, well, because mine's not. Is that because it's connected to the phone or something? What is that?
No, I'm saying on his laptop Gmail, he gets an alert.
Oh, nah, I don't even know. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. I didn't know
Also,
there was sound. I didn't know Gmail had sounds.
or whatever he's got. Also, when he texts, he still has the tap turned on.
Oh, it goes.
Yeah. And I'm like, Pat, what the hell are you doing? Like, are you insane? And he goes, I don't know how to turn it off.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because Brenner's been messing with my sounds.
Oh,
So, like, I'll give him the phone to play with, and somehow, for whatever reason, he always gets to the sounds. So now I'm getting all these weird dings from random apps, and I don't even know what they are or what. And I've never even heard these tones before. It's like cymbals suddenly are playing. Like suddenly Jimmy Buffett will just start playing on my phone. I'm like, who turned Jimmy Buffett on my phone?
do you have any misgivings about giving him your phone?
Well, no, because he's not really like doing anything with it. Like it's just like,
Not yet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we do have misgivings. I'm like, oh, am I doing something wrong that he's drawn to it? But I mean, think about it. You're going to be drawn to whatever is the shiniest, most exciting thing.
Well, but if he didn't have a phone, then he would be drawn to something else.
Yeah, but I'm saying like my point is it's not like I don't think that's what's going to lead to him like being addicted to the cell phone is like that he's like touching it. I think it's
Right.
going to be if he sees me on it all the time.
Oh, interesting. I think it's the opposite, but
I try not to be on it in front of him.
right.
When I'm with him, phone's not in my hand
Got it.
because I
Yeah. If you
know
don't,
that really attracts them.
yeah. 'Cause if you don't respond to my text within like 5 minutes, I'm like, he's with his kid.
Yeah, good. That's what's going on. So did we answer this? I do like the throwing it in the fucking lake at the end of 48 hours if he hasn't done the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, you could, another thing is when the invite goes out, set the expectations then. This is going to be a no phone trip.
Yeah, I like that. And I want to from our other listeners, I want to hear from you guys if you've had a phone addict friend, how have you dealt with them?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose you could also, this is super insane, talk to his stakeholders. So his wife, whoever the people he's texting with, and be like, don't write him.
Yeah. I love that. You're always big on that, like triangulating. Later. Like sometimes I'm like looking at Jesse and I'm like, wait, did you and Kara already talk about this? Like, wait, what's going on?
Oh man. Thank you so much for that question. This was asking for a friend. If you have a question you want us to answer on the show, send it to us on Instagram at Man of the Year Podcast. So Matt, anything else about camp you wanted to get into before we check out?
Well, the one thing about camp that I've noticed is there's also there's like a little bit of a competitiveness to it in our friendship. We have that too. I think I don't know. I think there's some fun to be had doing more competitive stuff in the summertime, even if it's like board games or whatever.
Yeah. And I like a little like you said, like a little
Drinking game, drinking boat race.
yeah. Yeah. I have one more tip slash hack,
Yeah, let's hear it.
which I think you're gonna like. When you get together with your buddies in the summer, make swag.
Mhm.
So like you go do a boys weekend, make hats, make
Mhm.
t-shirts. It's funny, it's cute, you remember it forever, and it just kind of gives you more of a feeling of connectedness.
I'm all about it. All about the swag.
Yeah. The problem is that every shirt I ever get one like either is 7XL or like too small.
Fair. By the
Yeah.
way, totally tangential, but I'll keep it short. I went to a party last night, name tags galore.
Really?
Everybody wore a name tag.
And when you walked in, were you like
There was a
encouraged to
person
do
in
it?
the front encouraged to do it. I think it's catching fire.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think we started something that's catching fire, but I was going to chime in. I'm going to text the guy after. I didn't want to, when you we know it's a good idea to put the other thing. We've added, we came up with at your party. How
right.
long have you known Karo as the thing? Or what did
Yeah.
we do at our Man of the Year party? What was it? Your look like, your celebrity look like.
Yep.
So I think I didn't want to be that, it was his party, let him do it. But I'm going to text him afterwards. Hey, next time, because now that I know he's into name tags, I'm going to say next time, here's some ideas you can do to kind of make it even more engaging.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So Matt, what did we learn today? I learned that even though I wasn't really like a big summer camper, some of those experiences are things that we should endeavor to do in our own life and our own friend making. Being outside, being open to meeting people, leaving your inhibitions. That's the word I was thinking of.
Inhibitions. Took us
Leaving your
30.
you're very uninhibited in the summer. You're
Yes.
like, you want to go camping? You want to go rowing? You want to go kayaking? Let's do it.
I think my big one, just after talking for 30 minutes, is go to more shared restaurant food communal spaces in summer.
Well, let me rephrase that. If you go to a restaurant and you have an option to sit at the communal table, do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you could potentially make friends easily in the summertime at communal
But
places.
make sure they're righties though.
Oh, please do not wedge me in between two righties.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to your friends. Hey, Matt, love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.